599 on T-Mobile Wi-Fi.
It looks like we are live, and welcome to the show, everybody. Look, we got to do a disclaimer real quick. The first thing is that this is actually Jim's show. He is supposed to be the host. He's the one who set this up, secured our guest here, Vince, with that mustache. Look at that mustache, boys. I mean, that thing is formidable. But his internet is acting up on him, so then I just got volunteered to do the show. Voluntold to do the show hosting.
We can just kick Jim out right now.
Yeah, because Tio and I are the ones that are reliable.
Move on, son. I'm fine.
And we have no idea where Chuck is. So
Chuck doesn't know where Chuck is.
He's probably sitting in his easy chair with the newspaper over his face, sleeping.
I was watching that.
Cocktail or two for lunch. So
hi, Kathy.
So welcome.
I know Kathy supports us.
Right. Welcome to the show, everybody, and mostly welcome to our good friend Vince, who's here to help us learn a little bit about CW, because I think that's the new hot topic these days with us. We're trying to learn. Yep. So I don't have Jim's call notes. I don't know what he put on here for the topic, but I'll just ad lib and make it up.
I extemporize, son.
For the folks who don't know you, Vince, can you give us a little bit of background, like things that you do, projects that you're interested in, and where folks can find your content?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much. An honor to be here with you, very fine gentlemen, this evening. All of you, without exception. I'm the Canadian, one of the Canadians on the Ham Radio Workbench. You can find my YouTube channel at my call sign VE6LK. Strangely enough, my website is called VE6LK.com. Are you seeing a trend here yet?
Yeah, go figure.
You follow me on the socials at VE6LK, you know. So
what?
I know, right?
I never would have surmised that, Vincent.
Consistency. What did I do wrong?
He's using your formal government name.
Yeah, I did something wrong. That's what Mom calls me, right? As the joke goes. So I started in radio 22 and a half years ago. And at that time in the Canadian licensing system, CW was a requirement to get on HF. And so I wrote my basic and my advanced. I still needed to do 5 word a minute Morse code. And when I got bitten by the contesting bug at the VE6AO contest station, I'm like, oh, this DX stuff is wickedly cool. It reminded me of the 70s on CB. For those of you who throw back that far on 11 meters, right?
Well, I used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard back then, so
right.
You had hair back then too, like theirs.
I had hair to here.
Still does.
Well, so a year later, I sat down and I did my CW exam, and my examiner said to me, "Now you got to use this. You don't just get on the air with it. You got to use it." And I said, "Well, I'll do my best, and I'll make a contact." So I made one contact, and the guy's name was Bruce, and he was in Boston. Bruce has passed away. I've forgotten his call sign now, but he was very patient with me for 12 minutes at 5 words a minute, which is to say we exchanged 2.5 sentences at that kind of speed. Oh my. And a bunch of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, around pandemic conditions, we were in the kind of the lull, just coming up out of the trough with solar cycle. But boy, the noise floor was bad. I got tired of FT8 after about 3 weeks, because that was the hot thing then. And I'm not dissing on FT8. It's a great mode, and it serves some good purposes, just not for me. And I started to think to myself, well, how hard can it be to relearn CW? I'd stepped away from this language for 16 years. It was harder than I thought, because I learned all the wrong ways.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's the common thing that people say, that they learn the wrong way. I don't know if I've ever met anybody who said they learned the right way.
Yeah, well, and I've met plenty of people who said they learned the right way, but we can all tell you, every CW op who's in the channel tonight, and I see many of my friends out here tonight, will tell you the wrong way to do things and what not to do. Well,
that's ham radio in general, right?
Well, you ask 2 hams for an opinion, you get 7 opinions.
Right.
But if you learn with mnemonics, or you learn too slow, don't do that. Start at a fast speed and just start listening to the sounds.
Jim's learning with mnemonics, though. Hold on.
So since
he just clenched over there.
No, I like the mnemonics to help me remember the da-dits for copying.
So I'm I'm going to piss off every instructor that's in the channel right now.
Hit me.
Because what's the letter F? Did.
Fetch a fireman.
Every time I hear the letter F, I can't unhear that. And it
I
slows
see
me
what
down.
Yeah.
So knock that shit off, Jim.
I'm just a little bit passionate about this one topic.
Well, I mean, that's so. Yeah, I can see that. The mnemonic thing.
You can do it without the mnemonics. You really can. Jim,
Okay.
Nobody said this.
He's got faith in you.
Jim, I have faith in all of you trying to learn CW on the channel tonight. All right. So here, let me ask you a question. How long did it take you to learn the English language?
I'm still working.
That seemed like a trick question over there. I'm still learning it.
Like 7 or 8, at least.
The Canadian with his trick questions, right? So it took you a while. Why would you expect CW to be any different?
Right.
Well, it seems like
We're older
everybody,
and much more impatient.
it seems like with amateur radio, you're always learning, right? And I would imagine the same is true with CW, is that you always would have an aspect of something that you should work or concentrate on, right?
Yeah. Gin and tonics, not mnemonics. I love it, John. Thank you so much for that comment.
I know a lot of hams who aren't always learning, though, Abe. You got to watch out for them.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, but you did say something about learning at the right speed. So I guess my first question, I don't have the call sheet. So I was looking around at different resources for learning CW, and a lot of people had actually recommended to me, you need to get them ARRL tapes, son. You got to listen to the tapes. So I investigated that, and I looked at it, and those tapes are 5 words per minute. And most of the people that I talk to say, hey, you should be learning at 20 words per minute.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
my
buy that.
goal.
Or faster.
Well, so explain that. Like, why would the league be putting out 5 words a minute just to make it easier for people to get licensed? I know
That was the rule back then.
Updated in 30 years.
Bingo. That was the rule back then. The rules haven't been updated in a while. When did ARRL, when did FCC drop code requirement? Totally.
96, I think.
And does FCC even test for it anymore?
No.
Well, no, they do actually still test. You can get the test. It doesn't mean anything other than you have another, whatever it is, another element under your belt. Yeah.
And what speed can they administer the test at?
I never looked into it because, I don't need a piece of paper to prove I can do something. I just need a piece of paper to get the government off my back. And we don't have to worry about that with Morse code.
Right. Like the piece of paper to hang up over your picture at the post office. Got it. And so.
Yeah. One of these, and it would say, element 2 or element 1 or whatever. I just happen to have this for no apparent reason.
He carries it around everywhere he goes.
So proud.
Evan Thorson, K2EJT, a buddy of mine, and an LICW instructor, and a very passionate man. And in his day job, he's a teacher, so he knows a thing or two about helping people learn. Evan says, according to Koch, or is it Koch? I don't know.
I think it's Koch. That's how I've been saying it.
It's Koch.
The minimum speed where you can hear the characters as a complete acoustic sound is 12 words a minute.
Yeah.
What that means is instead of hearing dit, dit, da, dit, you hear dit, dit, da, dit. And your brain associates that sound to that letter. You want to get the speed to the point where you hear dit, da, da, dit, da, dit, dit. That's the word and. You don't want to hear individual letters. You want to start to hear words because that really helps to build your proficiency.
Well, here's where I find that a little confusing, right? Would be call signs, right? When people are like, I just hear the dang old word. Well, how do you hear the call sign as a word? Help me understand.
I suck at call signs.
Yeah, well
my problem is that I have to write down call signs even if I hear them phonetically, like people saying them.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, don't be writing down letters when you're listening to the CW. Because it builds muscle memory in your forearm, apparently. But the thing that makes me concerned about that is that I'm never going to be able to remember their call sign in addition to everything else. I'm running on legacy hardware at this point, and I don't know if they're going to have
1.0 firmware.
Right, and I don't think there's going to be an upgrade. And so that's all. I think that's always going to be a challenge. And what I heard somebody say was that you can handwrite, like the max that people can do that at is 20 words a minute.
Yeah, I've heard 17 or 18.
Yeah, good people.
And I, now my CW Academy instructor, Hans, YL3JD, said, read it in your head. And he says, but there are still parts of the conversation, the QSO conversation, that I will write down. So I want you all to think about the last time you're in a business meeting and you're in a strange room with 3 other guys. And so I don't know about you guys, but when I go into a client meeting, I would write down Smokin' Ape, Jeem, TO on a sheet of paper with where you were sitting at the table. So I can reference that to who's where. Because I have trouble with names and faces and keeping that association. So that's my crutch. And Hans would say, it's perfectly acceptable to write down the call sign of the other guy, the signal report he gives you, their location. But if you're writing down the whole sentence, my QTH is Outer Slobovia, Transnistria, whatever, don't write down my QTHs because you're going to hear that at every conversation. Eventually, you'll not have to write it down. And that's what head copy refers to. You've got it within you.
Hearing the keywords.
Hearing the keywords, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, since we're talking about speed, so I'm going to ask my next question. So I have this little box and I'm trying to learn with this thing. And one of the things I noticed is that I pick a speed for a key speed and I put in 20. And then it asks me for a secondary speed, which I'm assuming is word spacing. Maybe it's character spacing too, at 10. But that changes my effective.
Yeah.
But that changes my effective speed down to about 10, right?
It's exactly what it does. And so that's, as T.O. said, that's the Farnsworth spacing or the Farnsworth speed. So most people have trouble. If you try to learn Spanish or French at full-on conversational speed, there's no frickin' way you could do it, right? So you have to learn word, toilet, bus, a euro, like whatever, right? Whatever the words are, so that you can then begin to string them together in a sentence. But you learn them at a comfortable speed so they get familiar with them. But you want to hear them at the right speed. You just don't want to hear all 5 words in a row. You want to hear them toilet, bus, hamburger, Taco Bell. There's a joke there.
Man, you're making me hungry with all the talk.
I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I tried to get a Timbit box for the back there, but I didn't have time this afternoon.
So what would your recommendation be then, Ted? Do 20 and 20, so you're saying even faster?
Go as fast as you can.
Well, I'm not sure I can 20. Just being.
Yeah.
You can. My head copy right now is about 7 minutes a word, and so I've.
Well, and that's okay. I have a truck like that. I measure it in yards to the gallon, but
Right.
If you can hear a single character dotted at 35 words a minute, you can tell the difference between it and da-da or da-da-da, da-da. The first 2 letters in the Koch method of teaching, K and M. And if you start with those at a really high rate of speed, then add your spacing in so that they don't come at you too fast. Then when you get to, 80 or 90% proficiency on that lesson on Learn CW Online, one of the online tools that you guys are using, then add a letter. And it's supposed to feel uncomfortable. That's what learning is.
So I got a question for you, Vince, on this same topic. My philosophy, wrong as it may be, is I want to learn at the speed that I want to send at. I don't ever want to send at 60 words per minute. That is not a life goal of mine. I could care less. But, 18 to 20, okay. So I want to learn at 18 to 20.
Sure. So learn at 25. Learn at 25 and 10.
Well, I got to tell you, so I really like Kyle's. Oh, go ahead.
Well, sorry, Theo. The thing you need to understand is it's always easier to send than to receive because you know what you're going to send next.
Mm.
Yes.
Well, not me.
Well, I want to learn to hear at the speed I want to be a sender at. I want to get on the air at 20 words a minute and find people that are doing 20 words a minute. I don't want to get on the air at 20 and have people come at me at 60, or get on the air at 60 and have people come at me at 20. I want to be in the flow. Like Wednesday is the CW Ops CWT. I don't want any part of that. That's a mess. That's a nightmare. I mean, good for them for doing it, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's not for me as well, right? But get to a speed, Evan in the chat says 20 and 10 is a good starting point.
Okay.
I get told to go faster. So here's 2 hams with 3 different opinions coming right back at you.
Evan also said Farnsworth was the devil earlier, so
Lucifer himself, that Farnsworth. But I got to tell you, so I'll give him a little plug. If that's the Evan, I believe it is. I think he's on the Kyle CW roundtable sometimes.
He is.
Chatty fella, that guy. But he does have a pretty decent YouTube channel, and I've been watching it a little bit. So thank you for the content, Evan.
Yeah, Evan, appreciate it, man. Good
And maybe
show.
just maybe one day I'm going to reach out to you and ask you to come on because we're trying to do a lot of CW content as we go through this. So
Yeah, +1 for Evan for sure.
so he's agreeing. I'm assuming when
Yeah, he's agreeing. I'll agree on his behalf. I'm his lawyer.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you.
He's agreed himself. Look at that.
Yeah.
Pressure.
There you go.
Let's see. We covered the speed questions, I think, right? And then we asked a hard hitting question about the league tapes
And the Farnsworth method.
I think 5 words per minute as a test requirement from the FCC probably is what made a lot of people not like CW.
Yeah. And in Canada, it's a 5 word a minute test requirement. But get this, the minimum speed I can send to you, the examinee at, is 12 words a minute. I can Farnsworth it out to 5.
But
I
your
always
actual
ask
key and speed's got to be
12
See,
and
I
up.
find that all confusing.
But see, that's in line with the Koch method. Damn it. Koch method.
Koch.
I knew one of us was going to say it the wrong way anyway.
Well, the right way to answer that
They're saying
is
12 words a minute is to hear it as a string of audio sounds and not like you were saying da, dit, da,
Right.
or whatever.
And so that difference between hearing it as a string of audio sounds and is, if you don't hear it as a string of audio sounds and it's too slow, you're counting dits, and that slows you down. Just like saying, fetch a bucket of water. I'm not going to say it again.
Hollywood's being a card.
He is.
Right. So if you get it fast enough that you can't count those dits, you're hearing the sounds. Y'all play a musical instrument, and I don't mean the spoons.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So for people who play a musical instrument, understanding timing and cadence is a normal thing. For those that don't, you probably listen to music on the radio. You play the radio, as the joke goes, right? So you understand timing because you're tapping your foot along to Britney Spears or whoever you listen to.
Right.
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion, sure. Blake Shelton, like
My heart
whatever, right?
will go on.
Justin Bieber. All of my Canadian favorites.
Yeah.
It's Jim's cat that's making all the interference.
Yes, he's circling.
QR meow.
Complaining. So until I did that, he was going to keep complaining, and he won't. He doesn't go away for an answer. Shut up.
He's just as mouthy as you are, Jim.
He's an old bastard like I am too.
So
Don't
you know,
grouchy.
so let's fast wind the tape forward a bit now, and let's look ahead. So you've learned your 26 characters, your 10 numbers, and your the minimum punctuation and some pro signs. So you learned your 42 characters, whatever the number is, and now you want to get on the air. And this is usually where your gonads fall back inside your body and go, "There's no friggin' way I'm going on the air," because I'm just a little bit too scared now.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
rough.
understand what people are afraid of, to be honest with you. I mean,
Try it right now, Ape. Tune
Well,
to 14033 and make
I-
a QSO. Let's do it.
it won't be successful.
Look at him. Look at him getting scared.
It's not that I'm not scared. I just can't. I can't do it. Like once I can hear and somewhat understand what I'm hearing and send correctly, I'll do it. But like so what? So if you do it wrong, it's not like the lightning's going to come down and take you out, right? It's not like you're
No.
going to have internal
No.
forever
CW
damnation. So what's going to happen? Some ham's going to get pissed at you. That's going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
That's
you're you.
part of the license.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Turn the big knob.
Well, I mean,
And
I intended when I am ready to try QSO, and like Abe,
Right
I want to
here.
be able to
That's
reasonably
where it says you get to be
understand what I'm
pissy
hearing.
all the time.
But I was
pissy
going to
clause.
I was going to do POTA hunting because I mean that's a short exchange. I know what the
Bingo.
exchange is in sideband,
Nice, Freddie.
so you know.
Yeah.
There are
And
things here that don't react well to CW.
That's great, Freddie.
You can make sure you send a call sign so they know who to send a handwritten letter to.
Right.
You
The-
messed up my QSO, boy.
Yeah, yeah, and the fine that goes with it. No, there is no fine. There is no bolt of lightning that's going to come down
Right.
on the ground. The only thing you got to get past is yourself.
Yeah,
And-
I think
and-
it's just
And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this as politely as I can. Get over yourself. You're no different than the rest of us.
Pull up your big girl panties.
Pull up your big girl panties, and you can do this. You can get on the air. I have faith in you. It's that
Sunday
simple.
night SST. That's what you
I'm
need
gonna
to be
need
in.
Vince to come with me to work, like before I go into a meeting and stuff, with these inspirational words. that he-
Go
that he- I
ape,
mean,
go ape.
right? You'd be my
So you want
personal
to know
hype
what got me
man.
on the air? You want to know what got me on the air? I was working at it for quite a while. Hello to my friend Ed in the chat. Nice to see you, buddy. I was working on it for quite a while, and somebody said to me, Vince, if you get on and do a POTA activation using the sacred language, I will hunt you down and find you. Thomas Witherspoon. Thank you,
Yeah.
Thomas, for giving me the push.
K4SWL.
Give K4SWL. I in turn give everybody I can the same push. I'll get on a Zoom call with anybody who's nervous about getting on the air the first time. That's an open invitation. And we'll just do 5 minutes of CW. I don't get your nerves out of your system. There, you got your first cue. So, and it wasn't even on the air, and you didn't have to worry about tuning an antenna.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's VE6LK at VE6LK.com.
Exactly. That'll work.
See, I was listening earlier.
So a big question, and we were talking about this before the show, because Vince is like our guru at this point, our Swami. So the different types of keys.
Oh, yes. There are a bunch.
Right. Yes, still got a few models to buy, apparently. Thanks, Vince. Appreciate that. So talk a little bit, because we did a poll in the chat, and I
saw that.
Don't know where it went. Tio, how do I bring that thing back up?
Uh-oh, I hope he's sober.
You got to go into the YouTube studio YouTube studio.
Okay.
You talking about me?
Would you
Well, I
do
wasn't
that?
talking about anybody else.
Chuck, don't
Yeah, I
touch
got
the
it.
buttons. Thank you, Steve.
I
So
wasn't talking to you, Kathy. I was talking
one of the things is we got a lot of people in here that that probably don't do CW yet. Obviously, we have some CW people because we're getting that too. But thank you, Jesse. What kind of key are we looking at for a beginner? And what are the basic differences between the keys?
Hi, Riley.
Is it worth buying a $60,
What she wants,
$50,
right?
$60 key off of Amazon to get started, and then maybe worry about the $400 Bagali later?
Oh,
Or should
yeah. We
you
got to talk
go-
about type of key, not brand of key first.
And type of key and all
All
of
right.
that. So what are some
All right.
considerations?
All right. So I need some props here for a minute. So I'm gonna take these two items in front of my desk here. So let's start with what a key is.
How do we get him on the...
Yeah, you had it. I don't know how you do
There
it.
you go.
Here's a key. This is a key. If these are two wires touched together, every time I touch these contacts, I make and break a circuit. And that's what a straight key does. So a straight key is a single set of contact points that come together and out again. A paddle key is 3 contact points. It's a left and a right and a left and a right, a dit and a da.
Look at that dexterity. You must be a CW operator.
I know I played guitar for a while. So, you got a paddle key like this, and there's a single contact in the center. Oops, there we go. Do that. Single contact in the middle. You can see the wiring as soon as my camera autofocuses. Is it going to autofocus?
Well,
No,
that
it is.
Yeah.
Stand by. I have a way to do this. There we go.
Oh, look at
Standing
you.
by.
There's the desk cam, the overhead camera. So we can see here in this paddle key, this is a CW Morse. We've got the center contact here, and we've got a contact on each of these arms that comes back to some wires that trace back, and you get your three wires out at the edge of the jack, right? So that's all that's inside a key. Now there's a whole pile of electromechanical consideration or mechanical considerations. Do you want it spring loaded? Do you want it magnetic return? And that's when you get into this whole world of keys. So straight key is one that most people start with. The other most people start with a paddle key. I started with a paddle key. I'm a guy who's had carpal tunnel in both his wrists, so I'm real nervous about doing it the wrong way. I'm rereading a book right now called I can't remember Chris's book name. The Art of CW. No, that's not it. It'll come back to me. And he talks about the proper way to straight key. And I want to learn the proper way to do it so I don't aggravate my past carpal tunnel, right? So, Ape, sorry, you're muted, buddy.
I was saying that, I've watched a couple things on straight key, and everybody's like, you want to hold your arm like at a bird claw. They don't quite say it like that, but it's like really goofy way to hold it, and they're all twisted up and contorted. And I'm like, that doesn't look good for the spinal column.
It doesn't look good for the spinal column. So straight key, paddle key, and then we get into something that looks like a paddle key, but it's a single paddle called a cootie. And you move the paddle one way or the other. It's a 3-contact device, but it's only got one paddle instead of 2. So Jim's got some here.
He wants to show off some candy.
Wants to show off some candy. So let's bring Jim's candy up. On the left, we have a Vibraplex straight key. So that's a pair of contacts. The CW Way of Life. Yes, John, that is the book. Thank you.
And I've seen people. I think I got it wound a little tight at the moment, but I've seen people press
Usually.
it, but I see a lot of folks do. This is the bird claw. I think Ape's talking about. They doing it like that.
Yeah, and then the key that's in the middle is a Begali HST, which is a cootie. So there are 3 wires coming off of that. If you were to flip it over on the bottom, you would see 3 wires there, even though it's a single paddle in the middle. So you end up pushing the paddle to one side or to the other to make your dits and your daws. And then lastly, on the right is that bencher paddle key that so very many of us start with. You can find these at flea markets for, $100, $125 US if it's a good day. And they're really nice keys to start with.
And these all have 3 wires. This is a nice key. It comes with an adjustable, with a wrench fastened to the thing. It was pre-wired.
Yeah.
Now this, I think I bought this used, but it's still a really, really nice key. And, Vince was talking about the mechanical aspects. There's a wide variance of mechanical aspects in these keys.
Totally.
One of them's hooked up.
No, not here.
No,
I don't have
Somebody
anything on it.
beeped.
That was me.
And then if we want to go OG, we have this guy, which is the J38 key, circa World War II-ish, that is a straight key as well.
Yeah.
And it was my original goal to learn on this, and I have since decided that was insane. But I like the key anyway, and maybe when I get better, I'll use it a bunch. But it's a nice vintage key. It's pretty cool.
I'm lining up some keys here on my desk, actually.
Okay, cool.
Is what I'm doing while you're doing that.
This
Well,
one,
while
so
you're
while
doing that,
everybody's-
he's doing that. I wanted to. We've got a question in here. Chris is asking, why would somebody want to collect keys? Because they're ham.
It's an
That's what they
addiction.
do.
I have more than one radio, you heathen. Why would I not have more than one key?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good answer. I have more than one radio for more than one purpose.
Right.
I have more than one key for more than one purpose. Chris, this is naked. Excuse its nakedity, but this is called a Palm Pico key. And I just traveled to Ontario. I was there for a month, and I brought this one with me and a 3D printed key that hasn't been released yet to try it out. And this is all I traveled with because I didn't have a lot of room in my luggage. I'm not going to carry around my 1.5 pound Begali when I'm traveling on an airplane necessarily.
Well, I'm not
all
making
these
fun
things-
of you, but I don't like all these like micro mini keys that fit in your prison wallet. Like that's the one thing that when I try to learn about CW and I watch these guys, they're like,
Welcome to our show, Vince.
they're like,
I've
I
never
can.
heard that term. That's hilarious.
But they're like, I can keister my entire station. They've got like a key that's this big, and they got this little teeny Altoids tin radio and an antenna that's like made out of thread. And I'm just like, son, I need a man's key. I don't want to be walking around with some mamby-pamby.
That's probably the guy that goes home with the 10-watt girl. I'm just saying.
Right. So speaking of questions, Jesse in the chat has been asking a question. Why does it need 3 wires? It's because it needs to have a ground and it needs to have a left and a right. And when you send with a paddle, you're sending a da with one digit and a dit with the other digit, or you can squeeze, and that's a whole nother principle that we'll get into a little bit later. But the reason why is because you're sending 2 different signals, so you need 3 signal wires to send 2 signals.
And if you're either one of these, both use all 3 wires. If you're using a straight key, you're actually only using 2 of the 3 wires.
Yep.
So because you're only on and off. You're either on or you're not, and it's just the length of your timing which determines whether it's a da or a dit.
And these boys are getting all excited. They're not willing to talk about the super chats and the membership milestones. They were put on screen, but they weren't talked about. So I want to actually give a shout out to Mr. Arthur Heron. Thank you very much for the membership milestone. Member for 15 months. And Dean KQ4ADJ, member for 28 months. And he's saying he's got Vince's CW trainer. Vince, where do they get that thing from?
You can get that off my website at VE6LK.com. I'll pop that in the chat.
All right.
Yeah, we decided to get a couple of those things from Vince.
Oh, but we
And
got
there-
David coming in, member for 1 month. Welcome, David. Thank you.
David, thank you.
David?
And
These
good evening,
are-
Simon. Welcome aboard, buddy.
Really nice. They're slightly more expensive than the off-brand Amazon ones. And the off-brand Amazon ones do work. This just has a lot cooler functions in this. And one of the big ones, Vince, that I also thought was neat about this, besides its scoring, keeping score, was that you have the Koch method in there for sending keys and they're sending letters and numbers and all that, and doing it that way. Because I thought that was just awesome.
Yeah, there are a variety of training tools built into the firmware. So we say it's Vince's tutor. It isn't. It belongs to Bruce Hall, WBH. And what Dan and I do, Dan VE6 Tango Delta, my partner in crime, he and I provide a kitting service. We'll get all the parts together for you and we'll mail them out to you. And if you don't own a soldering iron, we'll even solder it up for you. So that's how that
And that's awesome that you're doing that. And what I like about it, so I have this thing. This is the MCT 73. It was like $70, and I got it as a kit, and it was easy to put together. I did it in about an hour, and I like it a lot. But with the product that you're kitting, you can load like a call sign list, so you can just listen to call signs and get that practice. And then you can also upload like sentence structure and custom words and stuff like that. But you can also, the head copy feature that it has seemed really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, Jim, we got to spend money on these.
Right. And I was already halfway there. I told you I was getting Vince's first, man.
No, you didn't. You did. You lying, boy.
You want to be like
but the other thing about it is the screen on it is fantastic. I love the big
awesome.
screen from my old eyes.
Well, you know what I'm planning to do with the SD card, I'm going to do it over probably at work tomorrow. Is I want to write a script to intersperse call signs with POTA exchanges. And that's what I'm going to put in the text file is just random call signs and random signal reports and POTA exchanges. So because that's what I'm probably going to key the most is POTA hunting stuff and use that as a practice tool as well. So I can get used to, and like you're talking about, so I can get used to hearing, CQ POTA or whatever the actual exchange is on CW side.
Yeah.
Big John's right.
Big John is right.
Shut up, John.
Big John is right. So, hey, let me show off some hardware.
Please.
So I'm going to show you my very first CW key. Now, you have to understand, I wrote my exam with this.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, that looks like one of them joysticks for those old computers.
That's exactly
That's a Trash
what it
80
is.
joystick.
It was an Apple II Atari joystick, but da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, my Lord.
And so I walked into my examiner's home to do my test, and he says, okay, well, let's see your key. And I pull this out of my backpack, and he says, you can't be freaking serious. Yeah, serious as a heart attack, Barry. He says,
so you were a smart ass even back then, is what you're saying.
I can't let you
That is
use
awesome.
this. And he hands me a J38 straight key. I didn't know it was a J38 at the time. I just saw a straight key. I'd never used it. And he hands me a paddle key, and I fumbled it. He says, well, I can't let you do this. And I looked at him and I deadpanned him. And I said, dude, you know the rules in Canada as well as I do. I just have to demonstrate proficiency in Morse code. So I'm going to stand at the edge of this room. I'm going to flip your light switch on and off in the proper cadence. And I broke him down. He let me use it. So
You broke him.
You got him on a technicality. I love it.
That's right.
Yeah, I got him on a technicality. So let me show you some of the other keys that I've got in my collection. This is a 3D printed key from Adam Kimmerly, VE6LK. If you go to his website, and it'll take you to printables, this is a key you can make. It's a tiny little beggar. Let me get a ruler out beside these things here. And
That looks like 12 inches long at least.
I'll put it on the American side for you. There we go.
Thank you.
But it's fully adjustable in terms of the contact distance and the throw distance. And it's a lovely little portable 3D printed key. So thank you, Adam. Adam gave me that when he met me at Hamvention last year. This is the key that I just came back from Ontario with, and it's from a guy in Germany. Now, it's super small and super lightweight. This slides in, and it's got a really tremendous feel. This is called a Palm Pico key. So for those of us who don't have a lot of room in our luggage when we travel, this is a reasonably good key.
Them jokers are expensive.
Them jokers are expensive, and you can only get them now at the Friedrichshafen show because he no longer makes them for a living. He wants to retire, but he always has a table and he always has a few there. The CW Morse key. This is a lovely paddle that that I got in a lot of gear that I bought. And on the inside, this is the same one I was showing you before. It's a spring return key. And the thing that I really like about keys is you get to try them first. I'm a tactile buyer. I always tell customers at the candy store, come in, play with the radios, learn what the knobs do, learn how they work. I'm exactly the same way when it comes to keys. So if you can get your hands on one to try it, that's great. Let me keep going on show and tell.
Oh,
here.
yeah, okay. And one thing, and Vince hasn't mentioned this yet, and I want to make this point, and then he can talk to it more if he wants to. All these keys are adjustable for the tactile response. So if you are like Ape and you like big, sloppy, and loose, you can make it big and sloppy and loose. Or if you like it tight, you can make it tight so you barely have to move your fingertips. And I think Evan has demoed some of those keys, and he's got his paddles really tight. He's barely touching them, and it's sending.
I like some working room in there. You know what I mean? I need room to work.
Right.
Because you're sloppy.
Right.
Yeah. This one comes out of the UK. I think it's called the GM3PP, Golf Mike 3 Papa. I think that's what it's called. Charlie, NJ7V, Red Summit, he knows what it is for sure. This is one of my favorites.
I want that.
I know. This is a CIR 45. And you can order the case.
Looks more like a 357.
Or from Choices. You get color choices. These are the wooden finger stocks. I really like those. I don't like plastic finger stock. That's just not how I roll. The bottom of it's got some magnets on it. If you look this guy's website up, you'll look it up and you'll see it's all in Japanese. Just use like a Google Translate to see what you're reading for that key. And then last but not least in my collection, and I'll hold it up because it's too big for the overhead camera, is my Bengali
Traveler.
And so this key is really sexy because it folds up, comes in a plastic case that you can travel with it.
It's like a transformer.
Yeah, it
weighs about 300 pounds.
It weighs just under a pound. And I opted for the sculpted aluminum paddle.
I like that. That's a good
with
one.
the added lightness.
So let's come back to the story.
Skeletonized paddles.
When I started relearning, I was talking about this a little while ago. When I started relearning, how hard can it be? I went out and I did Winter Field Day, and it was pre-pandemic. And the one of our members brought out a traveler light, and he brought out a sculpture. And he's not a CW operator, but he likes finely sculpted things. He displays it in a cabinet at home. Hey, teach their own. But I got to play with both of them, and I'm damn. I have to have one of these. If I get one of these, I'm going to get better at CW. That's what I told myself. Yeah, that doesn't work so well.
It's kind of like buying guitars. I have more than one guitar. I still suck.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I'm going to learn that. I'm going to learn that that lick from Supertramp if I buy that Gibson, right? Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way.
I still can't play like Yngwie Malmsteen, so it doesn't matter how many Strats I buy, right?
Right. So there's a few things that got me to where I am today. And the biggest one,
John, thank you for the super chat.
John, thank you for the super chat. And all your great comments in the chat tonight too.
Oh, they're on fire tonight, Vince.
They are. This is great. There's two things that I did that got me to where I am today, which is I barely suck at code. I used to say I suck badly at code. I think I'm getting better. Practice every day. Give yourself 5 minutes to 30 minutes of practice every day. You want to take a day off? That's okay too. Here's what your day off looks like though. Send for 5 minutes. Just send. You don't have to think to send because you know what you're going to send. It's way easier. That's item one. Item two, set goals and monitor your goals. So I got on live streams and people said, Vince, how's your 200 a month QSO thing doing? And they're kind of giggling at me. So I set a goal. We were all on the New Year's Eve live stream with Jason. Thank you, Jason, for your Friday night live streams. and everybody was saying what their goals are for next year. Well, Homeboy doesn't do goals, or like resolutions, I mean. So I said, well, I want to release a video a month, because I'm not much of a YouTuber. And at that time I wasn't. I'm better at it now. And I want to get better at my CW. So I want to do like 200 to 500 CW activating contacts a month in POTA. So that meant I had to get my proficiency up to the level where I wasn't shaking my backside with nervousness about getting on the air first. And I needed to do 200 a month. So in the first 4 months, I tanked every month. And it's supposed to be a cumulative goal. And I just want to see a line going like that on the graph. And yes, I tracked it in Excel. Anybody wants a copy of my tracker and modify it for yourself, send me an email. Go to my website. You'll find my contact. And
VE6LK.com.
VE6LK.com. Thank you, sir. And so what I found by the 9th month of doing this every month, and I did some hunting as well, and I did my practicing every day, and I was in classes and all those things, is by the 9th month, I was starting to have fun, because I was starting to recognize things. I know, how dare something that was going to beat me up. I used to say that I used to have a love-hate relationship. I love the idea of CW, and I was convinced it hated me. Just do it every day.
I just, so far, I mean, since I've been a
Thanks,
ham
Michael.
for a little over 5 years. And I don't know, in the last couple months, probably, we talked about it on the show or in the after chat or something, and I got fired up about it. And man, I have gone all in on it. I'm, at lunch, I'm sitting there with the keyer, trying to get letters and all that kind of stuff. And I've been trying to do an hour a day, and I think I'm maybe going to ratchet that back to 30 minutes, because man, an hour a day is...
Well, you can tell Jim's serious about it because he's shifted his buying habits away from radios to keys.
I got radios.
So that's where his capital investment portfolio
I need
has
keys
been.
for all the radios. I need
Keys are actually cheaper, right?
I think Chuck is
Right.
wanting us to share some stuff. So this is a prototype of the Chucky.
the Chucky.
Yeah.
Chucky.
You want to tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here,
Well,
Charles?
I don't know anything about. I mean, I can send a little CW. I'm not very good at it. Well, I can send all right, but I wanted to make my own key, so I started just drawing this thing up, and it seems pretty good to me. I may have to send one to Vince so he can evaluate to see if it's any good. But I used magnets, and the magnet spacing. I don't know if they use. I'm just using magnets from Amazon or something. I don't know if there's better magnets, but I did notice the spacing makes a big difference. That was actually an earlier version. I have about 10 versions. I think I'm on number 10 right now, but everything's doing pretty good. And the other picture shows the final, I think. But maybe I'll send one your way and see if you can tell me if it's any good.
I would be pleased to take a look at that, man. That looks like an interesting build for sure.
Yeah. I looked at other ones, how they were built, and then I built one off of Thingiverse that used micro switches, and to me it's all clicky every time. It works good, but it's clicky, So I wanted to use the magnets. I didn't even have. I finally got all the parts for it the other day, and I got a nice little stainless steel piece in the middle that the screws hit. It's all stainless steel screws and stuff.
Yeah,
it seems to work pretty good.
That's great.
And
are you using?
Go ahead.
Are you using bearings or anything at the pivot points?
Yeah,
or
they're underneath the screw and the washer. There's bearings.
Beautiful.
I don't know that the bearings are actually doing a whole heck of a lot, to tell you the truth, but they are in there. And,
they're helping a lot. I'll tell you that, because some of the really bad ones I built had no bearings, and they just had a screw through the pivot, and they just get loose over time.
Yeah, this one, basically what I've done with this one is push it against the magnet tight, and then I loosen it until it just wants to shoot away. And it's pretty good up and down. Not much play in it.
Yeah. Bill says it best. Nice job, Chuck, for sure.
And then the final
Chuck is
one,
always building something.
I sent another picture in there. Ape, I don't know if you can share that one, but
All right, give me 1 second here. Being all bossy. Hold on.
that's actually the final. The program I'm using to draw things up is like you can't go back very easy, but that's what the final version looks like. But and it ended up, because I needed more space, the screws are actually, they don't stick out past the case itself, so everything's just basically like the case itself.
Yeah.
So if
That's-
we release this,
that's
we
real
need
nice.
to make wood paddles because Vince dumped all over that plastic mess, Chuck.
Did he?
No. What I don't like are plexiglass paddles. I like 3D printed paddles because they have a texture to them, but I don't like
Yeah.
flat plexi panels like you find on the benchers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you, this one here, I made the paddles a little bit bigger. I think the other picture was an older one, and it was kind of small.
Yeah.
But I really don't know how well it is. And I got a friend that I've got everything kind of drawn out. If I can get him to do it in a different program, I think I can make it look a little better too.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's bring a comment up from Corey here. I want to learn code. I started years ago and never finished. Let's talk about how to learn code and all the tools that are out there. So once again, go to my website, VE6LK.com. I know it's really hard to remember.
Say it all together now.
Yeah.
VE6LK.com.
And you'll find some links under learning, how to learn CW. And I list all of the common courses that those of us in North America, so English-led courses, that you can take with an instructor for free. They are, in no particular order, Long Island CW Club, or LICW. CW Academy runs, or CW Ops runs their CW Academy, and CW Innovations. And there are 3 different courses and their approaches to teaching. CW Academy is good for type A people who need others to push and prod them along. That would be me. Long Island CW Club has been described as good for people that are type A minus. They're serious, but they have a fun side to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
Long
totally
Island
me.
and Long Island, and it's all of you guys. And I can say that because I believe I know each of you. The Long Island CW Club has an approach where you can jump on the turntable. It's not called the turntable.
Carousel.
The carousel. Thank you. And you can jump on the carousel, jump on and off until you learn your 40-odd characters. And then you can get into the lessons, more structured lessons from there. And CW Innovations teaches you how to learn.
They have a really, what's the word I'm looking for here? Comprehensive set of classes set up for all levels. I signed up for it several weeks ago. I haven't been to a class yet. And they have classes at all different times of the day and the evening, and some I think are pre-recorded. And Evan, jump in here and correct me. But and then a lot of them are live too. So it's pretty comprehensive what they have available, and I need to take advantage of it. I signed up for it. I haven't made it to one yet, but
well, and it's free. Free as in beer. Free.
Right.
So there's no cost to these things. Take advantage of them. Yeah, throw them some money to say thank you when you're done your course. They love that. Or get a membership. Evan says they run 154 classes, all times of the day, 7 days a week. They're dead serious about helping people get here with CW.
Well, that's one of the things that I notice is that the CW folks generally seem to be very, very helpful, right? And offer. Vince. Now that said, we did get a couple of haters on one of Jim's videos where they were being very nasty and mean.
He pooped all over.
Yes, very nasty.
Yeah, I could understand him saying negative things about you. I mean, just being honest.
But
then he went so far as to say something negative about me, and that's a whole nother problem. And so I was very offended by that.
He did. He was. I don't remember who it is, or I'd ham shame his ass right now. He made a comment about. I don't remember exactly what he said. I'm going to paraphrase, but it's like you guys are
a couple of dipshits.
A couple of dipshits, and you bought.
That's actually what he said. Yeah.
I'm going to buy them from you in a year when you're done.
Oh,
he's probably right, but he didn't have to be so mean about it. That's
right.
He hurt Abe's feeling. Abe has one feeling, and that guy stepped right over the top of it. But yeah, Vince, I agree. There seems to be.
Abe, you got the wheel of feelings handy, right?
A lot more judginess in other parts of ham radio than there is in CW, because all the CW people I know, you're a prime example. We want you to learn our secret code. Everybody in CW that I have run into or talked to or watched seems really into sharing the knowledge and trying to bring along new CW operators.
Yeah. My
Unlike
friend Pat,
digital radio, where they're all judging you because you bought a crappy radio or something like that.
because you're doing D-Star instead of DMR or whatever.
Right. Right.
And my friend Pat, Whiskey 5 Whiskey Tango Hotel, we just interviewed him for Ham Radio Workbench. That episode dropped 2 days ago. And Pat is a CW operator, and he almost gave up on ham radio because he couldn't believe that people could be such doorknobs on voice. And I'm using doorknobs instead of something that
We're
begins with
translating
S
in
and
our
ends
heads.
with
These
something-
guys
Bell
know.
end. They call that a bell end in the UK.
Bell end.
Yeah, bell end. That's right.
And so Pat then discovered CW. Now, people are nice on CW. Now, I think people are nice on CW because we can all be a bit of a dick if we want to be, but there just isn't time on CW because it takes too long to transmit. Why are you on my frequency? Can you please QSY?
Right.
I've been hunting POTA guys, and I was told the guys the other day I got this one guy, and I send my my call sign perfect, right? And then all of a sudden he comes back to me, and he actually videoed it, and he did slow down, but it intimidated me, and then I couldn't do anything right when I tried to do 5 NN back. I couldn't do it right, and I just I didn't know. I guess I need to learn what I need to say for if I want to start over. There was a term, I guess.
Five dits in a row.
Okay.
8 dits in a row is the generally thought of as the error code. But if you send dit, and you start the word again, people get it.
Okay.
Instead of being really formal.
It's 8 dits. Sorry.
I have I'm going to paste a link into the show notes. No, into the chat. Whoops, show notes. That's the other guys talking. Into the chat, and it was what happened to me with it was the very first day I was activating. So when Thomas said he would hunt me down, I know he tried. We didn't make contact that day, but knowing that he had my back, I got on the air. So some guy came back to me, and he was coming back to me faster than I was able to hear him. And I almost threw that video out onto the cutting room floor. And I talked to my brother about it, ever the producer that he is. And he says, no, that's a great story of how you overcame adversity.
A moment of triumph in a ham's life.
But
I mean, that could be a Hallmark movie, Vince.
It
right
sure
there.
could.
This young ham was overwhelmed, but then he had a montage
Where he was feeling alone.
and he got right in there and did it.
Da, 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 da. And so that video shows what happens when somebody comes too fast at you. You just ask them again and again. Ask them to go down or just ask them to reset.
And then they'll just give up.
It was funny. He recorded. He sent me a thing, and he goes, "No problem." He goes, "I'm going to be out again today if you want to try again." And he was real nice about it. And in the video, he goes, "Now I'm going to slow down a little for this because I thought I was 15 words a minute. I thought that was kind of fairly fast. But I'm listening to everything else in there. And I was like, man, I sound really slow. So, but I'm fairly decent at that speed. So,
our friend VK Collins asking, what is a good basic electronic key? That's one of those. That's one of those Bitcoin dogs.
That's a Doge.
This is a Doge. This is Wrangler. Wrangler, look over here.
He's a cutie.
He's very cute. He's too cute for his own good. Okay, buddy.
He looks like a good dog.
He's 100% good dog. Evan says the best key for the money is a UR5 CDX. I've tried one of those. I would agree. It's a very good key. It's not my cup of tea, but it's really good.
CW fight.
A Bencher BY1 or BY2 is a good key to start with if you want.
And these are all over eBay.
Yeah, they totally are.
Any number of the BYs are on eBay. That's where this one came from. This is not brand new. Yeah, about 125 to 175 ish. Most of it is for the very heavy piece of steel that it sits on.
Well, it's for the chrome. If you get the black one, they're cheaper. Right. That's the BY2.
Right.
So that
our buddy Johnny Kane sells an inexpensive iambic key kit.
Absolutely, he does.
And that's probably available on hamgadgets.com.
Gadgets,
yes, it would be.
Along with his CW radio that he made.
Now, CFT1.
Yeah, the KMC4 CFT, yeah.
KM4 CFT, yeah.
Yeah.
And
the other thing for
CW radio that's gotten great reviews. Sorry, Jim.
Oh, that's okay.
We had him
Yeah.
on to talk about it, actually.
The other thing you can do is if you have a 3D printer, there are any number of designs for keys available to 3D print. And I don't have it here. It's in my shop. I didn't bring it in for the show. It's similar to the one Chuck showed, only much more white trash. It is screwed down to a board, and a couple of screws are in there, and they touch a nut in the center that is the center wire. And it works. And, you know, the cost of that was some crap I had laying around in the shop. So, you know, and the Puda Key, which I have mentioned in the video, honestly, for the price, it's like $56. It's
crap.
It's not crap.
It's
It's
crap.
not Scottish, but it's not crap. It's
But we
decent.
did want to have Vince talk about the keying kit that he puts together, and we did not do that yet, and we're down to 4.5 minutes.
Well,
So
we'll run over.
Go, Vince.
Let me give you the real fast version of it. So the kit that my buddy and I sell is the WBH Morse code tutor, and I've customized this one with my my call sign in front. Let's see if I can work it backwards. And here, I know what I'll do.
And he's got a battery
Overhead.
he put on that thing too.
Let's get this.
There you go.
There we go. So we sell it as a kit, and you can assemble it yourself, or we can assemble it for you. But it can send you the Koch method, letters, words, numbers mixed. It can read off an SD card. It can simulate a bit of a QSO, or do call sign practice. It can check your sending. It'll send characters to you, and then you have to copy back one, copy back two, a word. There's flashcard mode. There's head copy. Oh, if you've got two of these things, you can go head to head with a buddy over local Wi-Fi. And then there's a configuration menu, which configures the speed or the type of key, either straight key or a paddle key. It's a great little kit with a nice big screen on it. So I'm going to get it to do some receive, send. You can hear that in my mic, right?
Yeah.
We can.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So this kit was designed by Whiskey 8 Bravo Hotel, and he posted on his website. And you can download all the plans from GitHub or whatever, or you can buy it from us as with all the parts ready to go, instead of you having to source these parts from all over the world like we do. That's an IL9341 display. It's an ESP32 processor in the bottom. It's got 2 resistors in it. It's really quite a simple kit. If you're a beginner solderer, it's a 2-hour job. That's it.
So Jim, that's about 4.5 hours for you to put together.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you said so it does. It'll do 2 of them can Wi-Fi to each other.
Yeah.
It's
So they
it's not
connect to
really
the
Wi.
LAN.
It's not Wi-Fi as in IP addresses and all that kind of stuff. It's like
No, it's good clarity.
yeah.
ESP,
And it's not
something.
Bluetooth either. It's like one of those maker protocols.
Okay. Because
so
I know how to rig that up. We can go head to head.
Well, there's a device that you can buy.
The more
That you
Sereno.
No, there's another one. There's a box that you can connect over Ethernet, and you can do internet and all that kind of thing. I can't remember the name of it right now,
we
but I'll
gotta
remember it
find
at
that.
some point. What I think we're going to get them and use them for the Toad CW net if we ever get any good at this.
And we're going to hold the frequency open for 3 to 4 hours before the CW net.
Well, we can do it all. You can do it all online, right? So that way it'll be a place to practice and stuff
Right.
like that.
I like that idea.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, there's 4 trainers out on the market. There's the MCT 73. There's the Morse 32, which is a product that's very close to this in terms of its functionality. There is the Puda, which I haven't used myself.
Don't worry
And
about it.
there's the W8BH. Just I use this. You know, I'll pick this kit up to go. I keep it in a really elegant box.
Is that
This is-
hermetically sealed, Vince? It looks
No.
like
The Pelican
Carmex
case. You could
mayonnaise
drive
right
over
there.
that.
I could drive over this, but it wouldn't survive. This is a dollar store sandwich holder that I put mine in. But we've got 3D print files if you roll that way. I don't have a printer. Dan can print me what I need. He's only 926 feet away. There's a story behind that, which I've told before. And anyway, I take this with me if I'm going to go sit in the doctor's office and and wait for an appointment, right? Plug in a pair of earbuds, and nobody hears me. Nobody cares what I'm doing as long as I'm staying to myself, right?
I would think that
Chris
you're about to
Man's
do
doing.
some stuff that you shouldn't be doing when you pull out some kind of contraption like that in a doctor's office. I'll be calling the cops.
Depends
You're
on
like,
where he
we-
pulls it out from, I guess. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
They're calling it a bento trainer. That's awesome.
yeah.
No, so you did some mods on that though, Vince. You added a battery.
Bento
It does
mods,
not come with a battery on it. You have to hook it up. Is it 5 volts or 12 volts? I can't remember.
Yes, it's 7 to 15. Actually,
Okay,
well, I
so it's
did
like a
was-
So
like a
not 5
Zygo.
volts.
There we go. It comes with a plug. It'll take 7 to 15 volts in. It bucks it down to 5 volts. When we ship the buck boards to you, I have already calibrated it to 5 volts on my Fluke. If you want to check my work, please feel free to do so. So that you don't have to. Oh, because the little trim pot on those damn buck boards is so small, it just encourages people to get their potty mouth out in the air. So
But
I'll
you
do
need
it
to have
for
a
you.
barrel connector for the power though, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a standard 5521 style barrel connector, and so this is a battery pack that I built along the lines of 8060M. I think I ripped off his artwork. Thank
What do you
Dennis.
what do you what are you powering yours with, Jim?
So I looked through my. I was at work when I opened this box. Okay, really, camera?
Slow.
I give up. And I looked in my drawer of random crap I haven't thrown away that's work stuff, and I found a Linksys router power supply from God knows how long ago, and it is like 9 volts. Bob's your uncle. It actually fit. Didn't have to rewire nothing, and it works fine.
Keeping
This
you up,
is-
Chuck?
This thing, the case is available online, and while the link for these files is not on Vincent's website, yes, I use your government name on that one, Vince.
I noticed. I heard you. Timothy.
They do have these files available, and it's on Thingiverse. This is actually not the version that Dan, his sidekick, sent me, but this appears to be about the same exact print, and it fits in here like a glove. And it is, the holes all line up, and the knobs go to the perfect height. So the 3D print is available for this, and this is a nice case. So if you get one of these things, or you can get all fancy like Vince and use a sandwich box. And then Dan also sent me a 3D print for a nice,
Yeah.
basic stand that holds it just fine at a
One of our
very
customers built
delightful
that.
angle.
Yeah, it's a beautiful desktop stand.
Yep.
So
That's awesome.
it's been a fun project. We do this for beer money. We do not make $1 million at this. This is not a business venture by any stretch of the means, by any stretch of the imagination. We're just both passionate about, well, Dan's passionate about beer and I'm passionate about, that's unfair. Dan
I'm
and I are
liking
both
this, Dan.
both passionate about getting people on the air. And there's a lot
So
of
Chris is
projects we
asking
like
for
to
some
together.
links. This is all on VE6LK.com.
Chris, if you need links to the 3D files, send me an email. I will mail them out to you.
I will
And-
post them in Toads if that's okay with you.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
I will post the STL files directly in Toads, and I will look in Thingiverse because they're on Thingiverse. That's where these came from that I printed.
Yeah.
But it's the same set of files.
The files that Dan has built are a little bit deeper in the case because we don't use the default shaft length of 15 millimeters. We use a 20 millimeter shaft because you can no longer get the 15s, or at least we haven't been able to for a while. So we've just switched over to taller controls.
So I will post the official STLs from Dan in Toads for you to download at your leisure.
There you go.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Well,
And
Ladies,
go ahead.
no, sir, please.
I was gonna say when we end, our good friend Ham Jazz Simon, he's a
Yeah.
Canadian by way of Australia, is streaming, so you might want to go check him out too.
Yeah, Simon is one of the most energetic people on ham radio.
Indeed.
He sure is.
He sure is. So, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, anybody can learn this. All you got to do is just put some time in every day.
Well,
all you
thank
gotta
you
do.
for all the positive and wise words, Vince. It was definitely great having you on the channel, and we appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Don.
Oh, Don, appreciate it. All right, hitting the button, y'all. Guys, thanks to Vince.
You could say that
very
again,
much.
Jim, because none of it went through.
All right, wasn't just
Back at last.
that's what I heard also.